Back again, another episode of Chef's Kiss. It's me, Sheff, with my buddy, co-host, John. What's up, John?
What's up, buddy? How you feeling today? Happy Monday.
Shut up, John. You look stupid, just so you know.
I feel like a winner. I can tell you that. I feel great.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning refreshed. Had some coffee. Then watched a little Good Morning Football. Saw some great highlights, some really interesting analysis. And I have to say, listening to Chicago Sports Talk Radio today is like the content I can never get tired of. It's
Craved.
like the greatest content in the world. I've been listening to 670 The Score all day, nonstop.
What have they been saying? Give me a synopsis of some stuff that you're hearing.
It's interesting. They have their analysis, but my favorite is the callers, which is hilarious.
Sure. Yeah.
Because some of them are good, but a lot of them are so stupid, which is entertaining for me. And they've just been saying, I'll tell you an interesting call. There was a guy saying, Luke Getsy's play call, Getsy has been under fire, but like his just terrible play calling and all this other stuff. And,
Rightfully so.
We'll get into these topics later because I talk about, is it Getsy or is it Fields? And this guy broke down the percentage of plays where the primary receiver is deep and he chose to check down like quite a bit, over like 40% of the time. So it either means two things. One, they don't trust Justin Fields to go deep, to throw an accurate deep ball. That's number one. Or number two, they don't trust him to consistently be able to read defenses correctly. Look at his secondary, third read, kind of the same criticism that Trubisky had. And if you saw that play with Quay Walker, while he's in the pocket, okay, that's not a place he's clearly comfortable. And that reverse camera where you see what Fields is seeing,
staring down the
it's
middle.
a deer in the headlights. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on, and he throws it because we're starting to get pressure. Like Rashawn Gary is having him back completely changes our defense. Lucas Van Ness is also a really good first-round pick, but you can see Fields, and he throws it, and he doesn't even see Quay Walker. Quay Walker steps right in front of it.
Yeah.
So I think, like, is it Getsy's play calling? Or is Fields just not equipped, one, to throw the deep ball accurately? And then also, two, is Getsy calling those specific plays because he doesn't have confidence that Fields can, do what he has to do? And the complete opposite for the Packers. LaFleur loves limitations, and I think called a beautiful game. Those aren't – Love's – I don't think – Jordan Love was amazing yesterday. His stats look good. He had 3 touchdowns, no picks, but those wide receivers were wide open.
Yeah.
And some of those biggest plays were design screens. And that throw to Dobbs was probably his best throw of the day, but he didn't do anything special. He just didn't turn the ball over. And the biggest thing is they didn't pressure him. That no one touched him. And we got to Fields.
It looks like Fields does not get through progression, like you said, right?
He's can't
looking
read it.
One read, two reads, tops, okay?
And then he's fucked. Yep.
And then
you saw that with Quay Walker. It wasn't there. And then he was like, pressure's coming. I'm just going to throw it. And Quay Walker was sitting right there.
Well, that play looked like he was staring down his receiver, down the middle, not even looking for anyone else.
Yep.
He was eyeing the receiver, got rid of it, didn't see the linebacker sitting there.
He's like, no, like a good quarterback or a quarterback who's comfortable doing that would be like, first read, no, second read, no, like in a nanosecond, third read, not there. Okay, I'm going to move or make something happen. But he was stuck in that pocket. He couldn't move. So he was like, no. Okay, third read, go right there. And then Walker was like sitting right there.
So the play calling too, I mean, it looks like Matt Nagy 2.0. Okay, Luke Getsy's play calling, no rhythm at all. And it's sad because the Bears do have like a decent run game. So you do have a run game that should be able to open up the pass game.
And you can run historically on LaFleur's defense, you can run on the Packers.
Yeah.
You can.
So never comfortable at all. You never saw Fields comfortable at all. You and the thing that I was focusing on too was we gave up so much to get DJ Moore, right? DJ Moore had 2 targets yesterday. 2 targets. So you're down and they go into half, 6-7. It's a ball game, right? And
Absolutely.
you don't get your ball, you don't get the ball to your playmaker. The guy that you brought in, supposed to be the wide receiver 1, you get him 2 targets, right? And that's what it looked like. It looked like Fields looked for Mooney and Kmet. I think they both had 7 targets and whatever catches. Like that's who he went to. And if it wasn't, it was a check down.
He's comfortable with Mooney. He's comfortable with Mooney and Kmet.
Sure. Mooney, Kmet. I'm glad they got Kmet involved a little bit because you paid him. He's he looks slow though too. He is not quick.
No.
So and then the checkdowns to Johnson and to
lot
Herbert.
Of checkdowns.
Lot of checkdowns.
And they said that too. They're like the primary receiver. A lot of these plays is deep, and Fields didn't throw. He didn't want to do it. He didn't have confidence to throw the deep ball.
A lot of blown coverages. Like you said, those wide open passes, I blame a lot on Eddie Jackson.
Wide open.
You look at a lot of the coverages, Eddie Jackson blew a lot of it. The secondary looked terrible, right?
Terrible.
And not to take anything.
Some of the completions that Love made, Pete, there wasn't a Bears. I mean, I was watching the game with my wife, and she was like, "Where is everybody?" I'm like, "There's no one within 8 to 10 yards." And those aren't great passes. A lot of those passes that Love threw were behind receivers. They were just wide open.
Yeah. They got out-coached. There was a lot of plays to Aaron Jones, your playmaker, getting him the ball, and he had a day.
And he made it similar. Like Eberflus, first half, 7-6. It's a game, okay? You had one successful play, I think, to DJ Moore. He broke a couple tackles. I was like, wow, this guy's pretty good. Conventional wisdom would say, let's make an adjustment at halftime and get him the ball. He didn't do that. LaFleur, I'm screaming at the TV saying, the Bears, no offense, the Bears really have never had a good answer for Aaron Jones. They just have trouble with Aaron Jones. They have him trouble slashing
he's
in
dynamic.
the backfield, and they have trouble with him when he's a wideout. They have trouble with Aaron Jones, period. And I go, he needs more touches. And what did LaFleur do at the start of that third quarter? Started not only giving him the ball, but doing design screens, putting him in the slot. That 4th down, I mean, that was a great throw. Yeah, it's a 5-7 yard in from Love, but he put it right on the money. But again, LaFleur had it set up where he was lined up on a linebacker, and you can't cover Aaron Jones, one-on-one like that. So one coach made an adjustment, and the other coach didn't.
Yeah. I don't know if Fields. I'm having a lot of doubt with Justin Fields being a quarterback.
But I said that. Remember, I was saying that a million times. I go, I don't think this guy can throw. He can run. We know that, but I don't think he can throw.
Here's the thing, though, too, John. If the Bears did end up drafting Patrick Mahomes instead of Trubisky, right? That was the whole big thing. They could have got Mahomes. If he would have came to Chicago, I think they ruin Patrick Mahomes' career. I think he does not. You can't tell me that an athlete like that.
He's
like
so
we have the most dynamic quarterback in Bears history. Would you agree? Most dynamic athlete quarterback in Bears history. They've never had an explosive quarterback. Name an athlete that's better than Justin Fields that's played quarterback.
Not an explosive quarterback, but Greg Olson pointed this out in the game yesterday. He goes, how the game is structured today, like you can't look at. They showed all the yards and that Justin Fields accumulated and all the dynamic plays. He goes, but that yielded 4 wins. He goes, that doesn't win in the NFL. They talked about it today. He's arguably more talented than Jordan Love. Probably physically, but
so
look
why
at
don't
Brady.
you model?
Look at success in this league. It's about not turning the ball over, going through your progressions, making good decisions. So much of it is up here.
But playing to your quarterback's strengths, though,
yes.
too. And developing the offense around him. Why don't you try to replicate an offense like the Eagles with RPOs, like the Ravens? Lamar Jackson isn't, he gets a lot of discredit for saying he's a running back. He's not a great quarterback. But they design an offense around him for him to be successful. They have good running back. They run RPOs. This kind of stuff, like the successful offenses, why don't coaches, offensive coordinators kind of take a look and be like, that is, that we have a very similar tight end. We have the same kind of run game, a very athletic quarterback. Why can't we design our offense to look like it? The Bears offense looks archaic Always screen pass. How many screen passes are you gonna run? A designed QB run on a 3rd and 17? What are you guys doing? You're rolling over. You're not even trying. Designed run on a 3rd and 14, like, or 3rd and 17. Like, that's the kind of stuff that just like makes you crazy. You're like, you guys aren't even trying to do anything.
But that tells me what they think of Justin Fields. They don't think he can go through his progressions, and they don't trust him, and they don't trust him to go deep. They don't trust him. The Packers were begging him. If you look at the Packers defense, they were like, we're not going to let him run, and they did a pretty good – I mean, he's so dynamic. I mean, he had a couple runs. I was like, there's nothing we could have done on that play. He's just so athletically gifted. But they were begging him to throw it downfield. They wanted him to throw it downfield, and – either Getsy didn't trust him, or worse, he didn't trust himself. And I think that they know he can't. He's not great at it, and he can't do it, and he's not comfortable with it. So they're like, we're going to do these design plays that we know he can do. I think they know that he can't throw.
Well,
I think they know he can't do his progressions, and it's sad.
You can't see here. This is a next gen stats for Justin Fields, okay? And it shows one pass over 25 yards, 20 yards. Let's see, the 20-yard line. He threw one pass over 20 yards. Two passes.
So
two passes over 20 yards.
Let me ask
he was
you this
24
question.
for 37.
Is this the play calling of Luke Getsy, or is this Fields' inability to survey the field and make plays downfield? Or do you think they had him in sort of like a protective state where they wouldn't allow him to do that? What do you think?
No, I don't think so. If you look at this next gen stats, where all these passes are, they're all outside. They're outside the numbers. They're all under 10 yards, outside the numbers. Nothing's coming across the middle. There's nothing in a seam. Everything is just.
But I'm telling you, what I listened today on Chicago Sports Talk Radio, this analyst said that all of those plays, he went through every play, the primary receiver is deep. Mm-hmm. So either he was covered or Fields didn't feel comfortable throwing him the ball.
I don't know, John.
I don't know either, but
the offense looks the same as always. That's what pisses me off is you have this quarterback who's supposed to be super talented, and you don't do anything with the offense.
There was a couple plays I was like, we had the perfect defense set up, and he made unbelievable athletic plays and got first downs. I go, there's nothing we could have done on that play. We played perfect defense, and he beat it. Mm-hmm. You can't. That's amazing.
Defensively, there was no pass rush. I think how many sacks did the Bears have? Maybe 1, 2?
Well, if you look at, so I pointed this out to my wife. We're watching the post-game interview with Aaron Andrews with Jordan Love. Look at how white his jersey is. I didn't even see a grass stain on it.
No.
I mean, we have a pretty decent offensive line, and I thought you guys did a pretty decent job against the run. But with Dylan, you kind of held him in check.
Dylan for sure.
But Aaron, you guys have problems with Aaron Jones. I just think a slasher like that, and when they line him up in the slot or whatever, and LaFleur's really creative. LaFleur really set Jordan Love up for success. I mean, look at what Mike McDaniel's doing with Tua. Like, when you have a good head coach, a good offensive, smart, innovative head coach, it can work wonders for quarterbacks that aren't as athletically or gifted or as talented as a Justin Fields. And I would argue that Tua isn't as talented as Justin Fields. I would also argue that Jordan Love isn't as talented as Justin Fields, but they are more successful because the scheme and all of those plays that Jordan Love made were set up and designed by LaFleur. LaFleur has a lot of faults. I don't think he's great defensively sometimes. I've never thought he was strong against the run, but that guy is a great play caller, and he's very creative, and he sets a lot of his offensive players up for success.
You remember how how excited the Bears were to get Ngakoue. Didn't hear him all game.
Yeah.
Tremaine Edmonds, I believe we gave him a contract similar to what
Their pass rush was non-existent.
it was. There was nothing there.
Nothing.
Secondary, Eddie Jackson looked like shit.
And you guys
Jaquan
blew
Brisker.
a ton of coverage. Yeah. You guys, defensively, you guys were really bad. And then also, too, like, I mean, I sent this as a joke to you. Obviously, you didn't think it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. But when that offsides on the Bears, when that ref came on the mic and said, offsides the entire offensive line, I, like, in 36 years of watching the NFL, I have never heard a ref say that on mic. I've never heard him say offsides on the entire offensive line. And then Olsen pointed it out. He circled everyone. He goes, there's 6 guys moving at all different times. So, like, what is going on? Like,
Usually that's on the center. It's if it's on the entire
right.
line, it's usually on the center. But I understand what you're saying.
You talked about what fans are saying, and they're like, they weren't ready. They weren't prepared at all. They got outcoached, and they weren't ready. They weren't ready to play. People didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know their assignments. And the coaching, like, I don't think they set up. I don't think Fields played well. I also think they didn't set him up for success. I also think he's limited, and I think they know that. And I think that's another problem that I think that's why people are, struggling to figure out what the issue is. And the issue, and they want him. Like, everyone is like, I'm in on Justin Fields. I'm in on Justin Fields. And I'm sitting there listening to these callers and these analysts, and I'm like, has anyone said that maybe he's not the guy and you gave up the number 1 pick because you wanted to go all in on this guy? Like, I know it hurts, but maybe he's not the guy.
Yeah.
And maybe they know that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something it's a hard pill to swallow after.
It's really hard, and I think these fans are wrestling with it, and they don't want to say it, and they're ripping Getsy, and they're ripping the defense, and rightly so. I mean, the Bears, I told my dad, I go, Jordan Love had a good game, but this is really not, I mean, the Bears made it pretty easy for him.
Well, in your first season, John, I think you would get some an extra, leash. First year, second year. This is Justin Fields' third year. This is
Jordan Love's second start
of
his career.
This is a game, your home opener against your rival, one of the biggest rival in the NFL, the oldest. You are a 1-point favorite at home. You have the ability to set the tone for the division.
This was a must-win for the Bears, and Fields had to play better than Love. He had to, and he didn't.
A division that is open now that Aaron Rodgers was gone, and you shat the bed. You let them come to Soldier Field, and they embarrassed you. And
they were booing quick. Did you see how quickly? Like, I mean, it was like halfway through the first quarter. The crowd was. Could you hear it? They were booing like crazy.
I heard in the second half for sure.
Maybe second quarter. I heard it early. They were furious. They were so pissed.
Yeah, it's just this is your third year. You're supposed to take leaps at this point, and it looks like there's just been no progress. And they've given you a weapon, and the play calling was shit, and you're a 1-point favorite at home, and you just got slapped around again. And it's just not disappointing. It's just, here we go again. It's the same thing. It made me like, this is why I jump on
the Eagles.
I like the Eagles
like, this is
and
why
stuff
I root
because
for the Eagles.
Why?
Yeah.
I invest 3 to 4 hours a Sunday. I feel like a loser, dude. I didn't go to a family birthday party. There was a family birthday party for one of the nephews. It was at like 3:00, and I'm like, I'm watching the Bears game.
It's so funny you say that because we had a going away party for Theo. My son is going at the hospital. He's got some health issues, and so we had a party for him, and they scheduled it at 1:30, but you got to coordinate like 100 people's schedule. So it was really great and awesome, but I recorded it, and I didn't want to know. I don't want to know anything. So people were watching it on their phones, and I was like, I didn't want to know anything. So I watched it later. In the evening. So that's when I was like, screaming. The game was over a couple hours, but I was like going nuts. It was like crazy.
I just, felt like a loser because I didn't go to the family party. And
You're like, I missed a family party for this.
By myself, with my Lance Briggs jersey on, and my dog named Briggs, watching the Bears do the same exact thing that they have done my entire life. And it's just
I feel
infuriating.
bad. I do.
It's like
I
the
mean,
White Sox, John. They're very close to the White Sox, where it's like McCaskey's, you got to sell the team. Everything's got a clean house. It's getting to the point where it's like the White Sox, where it's the same. We're living in nostalgia. The '85 Bears. That's what they live on. '05 White Sox. They live in nostalgia and they live in the past, and they don't come up to the new times, a new offense. You have this quarterback. Design your offense to fit him better than you are.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go to two fundamental questions, and I want a definitive answer from you, okay? Because this goes to what you're saying. Is this a failure of coaching, or is Justin Fields not the guy?
I would lean to coaching for right now.
See,
I just can't. I just can't
what
believe
all the fans say, and I'm like, I feel like they're like, not Stockholm syndrome, but I feel like they're like delusional. Like they're just they want to believe this so bad.
Yeah,
that they are
I do.
willing to put up with all of the overwhelming evidence that he's not the guy, and maybe it's not Getsy, and maybe Getsy is designing these plays because he knows Fields cannot do some of the things that you have to do to win NFL football games, like throwing the ball downfield, like going through your reads and sitting in the pocket and waiting for someone to get open.
I don't know
panicking.
if you put another quarterback in there, I don't know if you're getting a different result. I choose not to believe that yet. Don't
you think we know? It's year 3, for God's sake. Like,
Sure.
don't we have a big enough sample size?
But John,
to
you
see?
also have to protect your investment. Like, he doesn't have protection. I can send you photos of the D-line in
I'm
his
with you.
face
Their
in a
offensive line is
nanosecond.
garbage.
You
I get
can't
it.
develop a quarterback like that.
I
And
get
like,
that.
I'm not trying to protect him.
You make a good point. You make
as
a
much
good
as I
point. They've
am.
never had a good offensive line, and
They
the Packers have a
don't.
pretty good offensive line. They
And
do.
you can't expect him to do those great things and to progress and to go through your reads when you are getting dudes in your face in a matter of seconds. You have no protection. You don't have that time to go through your reads. And it could be both. It could be absolutely both. But I'm just sick and tired of seeing screen passes and 3rd and 17s and design draws and like not even being competitive. It's just the rolling over that I saw in the second half. First half, you still got a game. The second half, the defense made a stop. They put it like a three plays. They stopped the Packers, right? You're going to get the ball back. I think they were down maybe 10. And it's like, okay, we're going to get the ball back. There's like 10 minutes or 12 minutes left. Like, hey, like let's get going. The sideline, everybody dead. Nobody had a sense of urgency. None of them were excited. Like you said, it's just like there was nothing fueling them. It's like, hey, we got the ball back. Almost like a lack of leadership. Like there's nobody on the team.
Right.
Like I texted my buddy Evan. I said there are no dogs on that team. Nobody's a dog. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that brings me to another point too. And this has been a topic this morning heavily, and no one wants to say his name, but I'll say it on this podcast, obviously, because who gives a shit? Claypool. Like, dude. Like, everyone is like, what is up with that guy? Like, he didn't come to play. Seems like he doesn't care. And then Lawrence Holmes, who's on 670 The Score here, he goes, watch this. And it's like a bunch of missed blocks by Claypool. It's him barely running routes, like not even finishing routes, and him not caring and dropping passes. It's pretty bad. Like, if anyone quit on their team, that's what quitting looks like. And I don't know. Obviously, I can't speak for him or whatever. Who knows what's going on? But like from that, it was so bad. I mean, I don't know why Poles wanted him. I mean,
I think it was just a matter of the timing of who was available, and we had to get Fields some kind of
I
playmaker,
get it, but
some kind
I think
of
he's a
receiver.
net negative, man. I mean,
Yeah, I mean he
people
was
are
in Pittsburgh. I think
furious.
that's why they got rid of him, because he was a negative.
Well, that's what Lawrence Holmes said too. He made a good point. He goes, Pittsburgh is a pretty good organization, top to bottom, front office. He goes,
Not this
He
weekend.
goes, your radar should have been going off when they agreed to get rid of him, and polls, and they knew some of his, attitude and personal stuff. So, okay, my second question is this: is Jordan Love for real, or are the Bears just that bad?
I think it's too early to tell. I think
I
he
agree.
looked.
I
He did
agree.
look. I'm not going to take anything away from him. Jordan Love looked good, and
Yeah.
you can't judge. You play who you play. So I don't, well, it's the Bears. It is. It definitely is the Bears, and that defense sucks. The Bears are bad at football, but Jordan Love, you can just play the teams in front of you. He threw no picks. He played clean. He got the balls to his playmakers. He didn't get knocked down. He got the ball out quick. Didn't make mistakes. What more are you asking for? I mean, you're running your offense. So yeah, I think he did look good, and it was infuriating because I want to believe like, oh, this kid, he's got, he's nothing. He's blah blah blah.
Well, especially because after Rodgers, I think that's the frustration that everyone has here today in Chicago. Like they were so excited to not see a Pro Bowl quarterback and to have someone who isn't even as close to the caliber as Favre Rodgers throw 3 touchdowns and no picks in his first real start in Soldier Field. I mean, it just killed them. I agree. I don't think this is a good litmus test to see if he's really good. I think he played a good game, but I think he played a good game, but the Bears are also bad. So I think it's both.
Looks like he had 23 fantasy points. Wait, does that sound right or no?
He had to have more than that. He had 3 touchdowns. 23.
I'm looking at let me look in my league. I just looked online. It was some kind of website. I just want to double check and see what it looks like for his fantasy.
What else was I gonna say? Yeah, I pretty much mentioned everything I wanted to say. Our first round pick, Lucas Van Ness, running down fields, like that was awesome to see. I was like,
16.
Great.
Wait. 23 points. Yeah, 245 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing attempts, 12 yards. So 23 points.
Okay. So another question.
The audio. I think it popped. Your microphone popped. Here we go. John's just having some technical difficulties.
We good?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Not too loud?
Yeah, it just popped and was like, bah, 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 bah.
My bad. So based on everything we talked about, I'm like trying to be real quiet.
No, you're fine. It just like popped.
Right, cool. So based on everything we talked about, where did the Bears go from here? As a Bear fan, in your opinion, I want to know, because these fans, they don't know what to do. They're so sad. They're so angry. They're so frustrated. What adjustments do you make going into week 2? Is this like the end of the season, or I know it's week 1, but where do you go from here?
I don't think. I don't want to be that week 1 season's kind of over guy.
I
but
agree. It's
I am
season.
Though. I am. What?
That's what the feeling is like. Yeah.
You think what? You think you're gonna have a turnaround? You guys are gonna all of a sudden click. You're gonna start blocking better. Your defensive assignments. Maybe on defense you can kind of pick it up. Maybe not give up over 30 points a game. Maybe that'll happen. But from this offense, man, it's just anemic, and it always has been, and I feel like it always will be. I've never seen the Bears have an explosive offense, and you think when you have a dynamic quarterback like Fields that was going to happen. I think that was what we were waiting for because we've never had that, an exciting, explosive quarterback, and it's the same thing over and over again. So I don't want, but the Bears can go 0-4 real quick. I think they go to Tampa. They have they have a tough next 3 or 4 weeks, so
right.
I don't see them, pulling out these miraculous wins. I think it's going to be, you're dog shit now. So you might get another first round draft pick. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you think Poles made the right move in giving away the first round pick?
I
and going all in
on Fields?
Fields?
I wasn't a fan of getting another quarterback. I was still a fan of. I don't think you can pull the trigger like I was talking about. You have to protect your quarterback, protect your investment. You can't expect somebody to develop in an environment like that. So your job is to protect your investment. When you spend a lot or go and get someone like that, you need to protect them so that they can develop. And I don't think they did a good job of that, or not good enough. And obviously, we have some O-linemen that are injured who didn't play. But, I wasn't a fan of going to get another quarterback. I was one of those guys. I was like, I want to see what Fields can do. I still believe in him. And, that's kind of is what it is. But it's very depressing to watch that game, and it's the same shit over and over again. So it's hard to be optimistic. And yeah, I'm sure you've heard it all this morning on the radio.
Yeah, I did. And you brought up a good point about ownership. It's the one job you can't get fired from unless you're like Donald Sterling and are recorded by saying some horrific shit. But
you're forced.
But for the most part, it's the one job you can't get fired if you're the owner.
Weatherman too.
That too. And if you look at like some of the biggest sports droughts in the world, it's come from a big overhaul. And I'll use the Cubs as an example. So people talk about Theo Epstein and how he was the architect for the 2016 World Series. Well, I've read copious amounts of books, and so have you. Tom Verducci's book, but I also read The Plan by David Kaplan, and that book really talks about the hero and the reason the Cubs were able to turn this historically bad franchise that was only interested in making money into a winning franchise was Tom Ricketts. When Ricketts took over, he was a fan first. Now, it's changed because he's kind of a businessman now because he won, and now he's kind of carte blanche and can do whatever he wants. It's definitely changed now. But when he came in, he was a fan. And fans, all they care about is their team winning. And he was like, I will spend money, but I'm going to do this right. So I'm going to take over the team. I'm going to get a lay of the land, and I'm going to find who is the best. He went to Bud Selig, who was the commissioner at the time, and he goes, Who should I want the best person for this? And he goes, the person at the top of my list would be Theo Epstein, but you just got to check and see if he wants out of Boston. And it just so happened that he did. The timing worked out, and but it starts with ownership. Reinsdorf, the Sox, he didn't care. He doesn't care. He hired Chris Getz. Like that was. He basically said in an interview, he was like, in so many words, he goes, it's just easier to do an internal search. He goes, I don't have much time left. Like, I'm not looking to, I don't want to do more work, and he doesn't have to. He's going to go down as one, because of Michael Jordan, which is hilarious. He says, like, organizations win championships. Like, Jordan was a huge part of why they won 6 championships. But it starts with an owner that wants to win. Who is the owner of the Eagles? What's his name?
Howie Roseman.
Dude, that dude wants to win, man.
Yeah.
Like, that dude wants to win. The president of the Phillies, whoever owns the Phillies, that dude wants to win. You can tell by the owners who want to win. Say what you want about Jerry Jones, like he's nuts and he's an asshole, he's crazy, whatever, crazy billionaire. That guy wants to win, and he will do whatever it takes to do so. I think that's what's frustrating for Yankee fans as well, is Hal doesn't have that killer instinct that George did. Steinbrenner was like, I'm going to fire everybody, blah, 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 like maybe he always didn't make the right moves, but like that guy wants to win, and it starts with ownership. And the McCaskies, they got to, until they sell that franchise, I feel like you're going to get this every time.
Yeah, you have to have a plan too. The big thing with Theo was there was a plan. It was the 4 pillars.
Right, but Theo would have never been there without Ricketts. Ricketts was like, who's the best person? You know what I mean? It took new ownership to get Theo. Like that, it starts with the owner. And I think the Bears, you have to get those owners out. And until you do, I mean, I feel bad. I mean, I do. Like, I mean, I've an embarrassment of riches for the Packers. Like I've had so many great games, and yesterday I was expecting to lose, and it was kind of a pleasant surprise. I was shocked how bad the Bears were. I mean, I knew they were not a great team, but I did not have high expectations of Jordan Love. I couldn't believe how wide open those receivers were, and I think it was just the worst possible outcome if you're a Chicago Bears fan. That's just not at all what you wanted. And I think it's ownership, man. And I think it'll never change. I hear the same stuff every year about the Bears. The ownership needs to change.
Same thing every year, John. Congrats on the win.
Thank you. All right, I'm not rubbing it in. I feel bad for you. I really do. I'm not being a dick. I feel bad for you. I have a lot of family members that are so sad and upset. My wife is a Bears fan. I would like her to experience some joy. Not obviously not against my team, but like
right.
I want them to be somewhat competitive because selfishly, I got to watch them. My wife makes me watch them every week. So like I don't want to watch mediocre football. I wish they were more competitive because I also have to watch them every week.
We'll get used to it.
Ugh, God, it's tough.
And nothing went right for me this weekend. My fantasy team was shit. I lost all my bets essentially, besides the Sunday night game.
I had J.K. Dobbins. He tore his
Biggest-
Achilles. He's out for the year. I had him.
Yeah. Biggest mistake I made was starting Jamal Williams over Brandon Ayuk.
Oh,
So
I started Ayuk. He
went off for almost
was
30
awesome.
points. Jamal Williams, I drafted him for the reason to play these 3 weeks because obviously
Kamara's out. Yeah,
he's got the full workload. Had 18 carries, 40 something yards.
Who is Shaheed? Dude,
Yeah,
that
I was asking too.
I was like, what? Like, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, he like dominated.
That was the biggest mistake I made, starting Jamal Williams. Just absolutely shits the bed, and Brandon Ayuk just going off on my bench. The only good news is my bench went off. Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison both had roughly around 15 points. So hopefully anybody from my league, if you're looking, I would love to get a running back for any of those wide receivers. I also had Najee Harris, gave me 4 points.
I had Lamar Jackson. He gave me 7.
So,
It killed me. Like I couldn't win after that. So I'm in 2 leagues: a family league and one with my softball team.
One of the biggest disappointments this weekend, Joe Burrow and the Bengals not putting up a touchdown, getting embarrassed by a convicted rapist. I guess this really shows, John.
Look at they don't even care. Like he scored that touchdown, he ran that one in. People are going crazy. He's like, and I'm just like, how in good conscience do you root for that dude?
Yeah.
How do you do it?
And I was grossed out.
It's
I was
gross.
Like, he was like, yeah, playing the guitar.
Playing the
and I'm just
guitar
like,
and the crowd's going crazy. I'm like, gross, dude.
Yeah, just not a fan of that.
God, I do not want the Browns to win at all. Like I am not rooting for that team. I like Nick Chubb, and that's about it.
Sure. It really shows you, though, John, when you don't play in the preseason, how off you are.
A lot of bad football in week 1. A lot of bad football.
I understand he had, that calf strain or whatever, but that was just pitiful. One of the best offenses supposed to be, and they can't even score a touchdown against Cleveland. I know Cleveland has a pretty good defense. Props to Baker Mayfield. I thought Baker
looked pretty
Mayfield
good.
Played great. I think, like I said it before this season, I said those wide receivers are going to bail him out a lot of the time. He's playing with probably the best receiving core he has been,
Evans,
arguably. Yeah, and so he led them to a nice victory. Pittsburgh Steelers, oh my God, I had them at +8 in a teaser.
Wow.
That blew up in my face.
Pickens sucked. Pickett sucked.
Bad.
Yeah, it was
Pickett
bad.
Sucked. Najee Harris looked terrible.
Yeah.
They went 3 and out. I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
The San Francisco 49ers are just good. Fred Warner, oh my God, dude. The dude is a heat-seeking missile.
That whole team.
Incredible.
That whole team is. I mean, talk about the defense in general. Like, okay, you got Bosa, you got Warner, you got Nufonga or whatever. Like in the secondary, like they are stacked everywhere. And then on offense, you could go to either Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk if you wanted, or Deebo Samuel, who also is a running back and a wide receiver. Also so is McCaffrey, and also probably Ayuk could do that too. So it's like pick your poison. Like they're hands down the best team
in week 1.
Hands down the best. I think they're the best team in the NFL. I think they're the best team in the NFC. Then I would probably go.
Let's go Dolphins.
Dolphins is probably the second best team in the NFL. Are you worried about Philly? I was on my agenda.
No.
Really? I was not, and I was not crazy about Hurts's performance. He was so high on fantasy drafts. Like,
John, you give Bill Belichick an entire summer to scheme up. I knew it was going to be close. I knew it going into the week. They think, they're going to blow him out. Give Bill Belichick, one of the best coaches of all time.
Well, one of the best defensive minds in the history of football.
To scheme up against a team in week 1, I knew it was going to be close. It was going to be sloppy. How much did Hurts play in the preseason?
Yeah.
But I think honestly, like when you say, people are worried or they're worried about the Eagles. The showing of a good team is overcoming adversity and winning those gritty games, ugly games. I remember playing, when we were playing in high school or whatever, we had a coach who would say, like, sometimes you just got to escape the jungle. You come out with a win, and it is what it is. A win is a win, and then you take and you build off of that. They didn't look crisp at all. It was very sloppy. Very good that the defense got that pick six.
Yeah.
And that really helped out a lot, obviously.
yeah.
But that's what good teams do. Good teams have good plays on defense, and you put your offense in good field position. So I wouldn't say I'm worried. They have a very tough schedule this year, so they probably won't replicate the same amount of offense
last
or
year.
points
Yeah.
or wins. Like, they have a more difficult schedule. There's more tape out on them, so I wouldn't be worried that much. They have one of the best receiving cores. They have tons of running backs. So no, I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, I
if
think
they
you're
lost,
fine.
If they lost that game, if they let that slip, I'd be more concerned. But sometimes you just got to get those gritty wins. They're ugly. It's an ugly win, but it's a win.
Parlaying to Monday Night Football tonight. So based off all
Yeah.
the talk we did about Bears-Packers, is there more pressure on Rodgers tonight because of what Jordan Love did yesterday? Yes or no?
I don't think there's any. No. There's nothing correlated between Jordan Love's success and Aaron Rodgers' expectations or success in New York. I think the ties have been broken, and now Aaron Rodgers has his own set of expectations. Now that he's in New York, I don't think it doesn't have to do with what's going on in Green Bay
Is this
at
game
all.
in Buffalo tonight? Or is it in New York?
It's in New York.
Okay. I can't wait for this game. I'm like so pumped.
So I will be taking the. I
was gonna ask you, who
the
you taking?
The Bills at -2.5.
Yeah.
I think the hype is going to come down a lot. I think Rodgers not playing so much in preseason. Bills defense very good. I like
yeah.
Matt
I have them
Matt
for
Milano.
fantasy.
I think
Yeah.
Matt Milano, I think, is a very good
Yep.
defensive player. Josh Allen, if he doesn't play hero ball and limits mistakes, this Bills offense is very good. I know the Jets defense, and then maybe look into the under. I think the under was at like 46 or 44, something like that. I think this might be one of those defensive battles within the division. But I do see I'm putting my money on the Bills. For the fact that I don't care for Aaron Rodgers. I want to see that offense first and see what it's really capable of before I, put my money behind it.
Yeah. No. I'm with you. There's been a lot of hype, hard knocks with the Jets. But Aaron takes a while to develop some chemistry, and I just don't think he's played enough reps to get that, especially just in a game, like with the starters in a game scenario. So I don't think their offense is as hot, certainly in week one, as many people think. And I think just the Allen factor, just throwing and running, is just going to be a little too much. I'm aligned with that. I think the Bills are going to win, and I think their defense is really, really good too. Which is why I got them for fantasy.
In Buffalo than with the Jets right
Just
now.
more time playing together. Yep. And I think that's going to really, especially in week one, I think that really matters. And
then also too, we talked about this, the difficulty of the schedule for the Jets at the beginning of the season. Their first 7 games are very difficult.
Really hard.
It's not a cakewalk, so they got to get their shit together. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the Jets kind of come down from all this hype, the hard knocks, the Rodgers, and he's coming to save us. We're going to the Super Bowl, and kind of get knocked down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So Bills first game, Jets first game is Bills. Then it's at Cowboys. Then it's against the Pats at home. Then it's against the Chiefs at home. And it's against the Broncos in Mile High. And then it's against the Eagles. That's tough. That's tough. Yeah, that's not easy.
No. They have a very hard first 7 games.
For sure.
Something like that. So, yeah, I would like to I'd say it would be like a lower scoring game than you would imagine. Probably a little bit more of a defensive battle, especially we've seen so much sloppy football in week 1. And I think the Bills come out on top. And, yeah.
100%, man. Well, yeah, won one fantasy league. I lost another one. I can't wait for tonight. It's going to be so weird seeing Rodgers playing with another team. It was weird seeing him in the preseason throwing that touchdown. It was so bizarre.
Just weird seeing a different number.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But as a Packer fan, it couldn't have gone better. I'm sorry for your loss. Hopefully you guys can bounce back. I do feel for you. I have so many family members that are just diehard Bear fans.
I'm not going to be watching them as often if this continues.
Well,
it's dumb.
Why put so? I've brought this up a million times. I think Craig Calcaterra, he's like a baseball writer or whatever. He wrote the book Fandom, I think. him or Todd Radom, I can't remember, but one of the guys wrote a book called Fandom, and it was essentially saying, if you are a fan of an organization historically that has bad ownership, that doesn't invest or doesn't care about winning, like you don't, just because you grew up there doesn't mean you have to root for that team. If they make no efforts to try to win, you shouldn't. Why subject yourself to that? Life is short. Like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, say what you want about the Cowboys. Like, they're not good every year, but Jerry Jones does everything he can to win ball games. Like,
sure,
I'll root for that team. Like, I mean, obviously not a Cowboy fan, but I totally understand why you would do that. Same with the Yankees with Steinbrenner back in the day. Mm-hmm. I totally understand why you would want to root for that team. Because, like, even though you're not winning, like, if you don't win, shit's going to hit the fan and there's going to be some changes. Like, stuff will happen. Money will be spent. You know what I mean?
As we get older, John, you realize time is valuable, right?
Oh,
I don't want to spend time with people I don't care about.
Absolutely.
Having conversations I don't care about. So now I'm going to spend 3 hours on Sunday. And here's the thing, John. I was so excited yesterday.
I know.
I'm sure you were too. Like,
I was.
First Sunday, I had my TV, and then I had brought my other TV down. And I had my red zone, and I'm like, babe, it's starting. Like, yeah, we're getting ready. I had, the Steelers and the 49ers on in red zone. I'm like, yeah, and then get going, and then my bets start going to shit, and my fantasy is shit, and then I'm watching the Bears play, and it's embarrassing, and it's just. By the end of the night, I was pissed off, visibly pissed off. Like, I went to bed upset. Like, my wife was like, "Are you okay?" Like, I'm sorry, and I feel bad. I'm like, I don't want to be an asshole, but I had a bad end of the day. I started off excited, and that I don't want to have them, be in charge of how I feel during the day when they suck. So
are you saying you're just giving up on the Bears and just you're just becoming a Philly fan? By the way, I totally support that. I would never judge you for that, and I totally get it. This organization, our whole lives, I'm 36 years old. They have sucked my entire life, man. They've sucked, and it's the same. I've been listening to sports talk radio for it's the same thing every single year. Every year, it's the same problem. Guess what's been the constant? Ownership. Ownership. That's what needs to change, and unfortunately, it's the one job you can't get fired from.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I have a good reason to kind of be.
Well, your wife's from Philly. You live in Philly. Like, dude,
it's not like I just live, where I was.
That's
and
what I'm saying.
I'm gonna pick a new team now.
You can totally do that, dude. I would fully support you if you wanted to ditch the Bears and go for Philly.
I mean, I've been following the Phillies, following the Eagles, and it's just this is my home now. I pay taxes here, so. There's nothing exciting about the Bears at all. Like, sure,
it's depressing too.
Yeah, but now it's like, if I have the choice, why would I subject myself to that again? It's just kind of like a realization, like, why am I?
It's an abusive relationship. You're like, why do I keep doing this to myself? I should get out.
I'm screaming. I'm upset.
Yeah,
like I'm yelling.
Right.
It's not good. It's unhealthy.
You're a father now. You're like, do I really need this? Like,
this stress.
This extra stress. Like, I don't have to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm growing.
Good for you, man. We're working through it. We're working through it on this pod. This is helpful.
Yeah.
It's a personal growth pod. All right. I know this is a football podcast. Last thing, and then we'll get out of here. Cubs are calling up Pete Crow Armstrong on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Did you know that his mom was the mom of Billy Haywood in the movie Little Big League?
I saw something like that.
I saw that on Twitter, and it made me really happy because Little Big League's like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
So do you think the Cubs? You think the Cubs win the Central? They're 3 games back.
I mean, they're pretty hot, dude. I mean, they've.
Yeah. I think they definitely win the wild card. If not, catch the Brewers. I definitely think they can.
Yeah. What I really want is to see Cubs
Phillies.
That
would be sick.
For that wild card.
That would be sick, and that would be in Philly, right?
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Would you try to go to that game?
Yeah, I would try if tickets weren't outrageously expensive.
Yeah.
Or at least one of them or something. But that's something I want to see. I think that would be an incredible series.
That would be an awesome series.
The totals, it would be like 10-9 final score. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of scoring.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every other day I see like Schwarber just hitting a bomb. I'm like, God, man, he's so awesome. I miss watching. I miss watching him. He's so awesome.
Yeah, he just hits home runs, dude.
God. And they're
Bombs.
smoked. They're smoked. God, I love watching him, Matt. He's so good.
They're actually playing right now. I think they have a doubleheader today.
Oh, really?
I'm surprised.
Yeah, so we're going to have to flip back. I already talked to my wife about it, too. So we're making tacos tonight, put my son down to bed, and then I go, all right, so the Cubs start at 7:40 on the West Coast against the Rockies. We're going to have to flip back. Maybe we have the Cubs game on my son's child iPad, and then we have Monday Night Football on our big screen.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're gonna do because I want to see Rodgers. I want to see football. So we'll do that. But then we'll have on my son's iPad. We'll stream off marquee. We'll stream the
I
Cubs.
have the 2 TVs downstairs already from yesterday, and I didn't move it for that same reason.
Perfect.
And then I'll go put it back up.
Fantastic.
After tonight.
We're ready to go. Cool, man.
All right, John.
All right, buddy. This is great, man.
stuff.
I'm sorry for your loss, but listen, things could be looking up,
Yeah, totally.
but we'll see. I don't know.
All right, guys. Great episode. We'll see you next time.
See ya.